All right, let's get right into it. We're tackling what is probably the most fiercely debated question in all of tech right now. It really gets to the core of how the future of intelligence is going to be built, and more importantly, who's going to control it.
You've seen this fight everywhere. It pits two totally different philosophies against each other. In one corner, you've got the closed, super-controlled world of proprietary models. Think OpenAI, Anthropic, the big guys. And in the other corner, you have the decentralized, community-powered world of open source. So who actually wins this thing?
But here's the twist, and this is important. Most people frame this whole debate completely wrong. This isn't really about which philosophy is better. If you want to really understand who's going to come out on top, you have to follow the money. This is all about the cold, hard economics of tech, competition, and power. So here's our game plan. First, we'll set up the real economic question. Then we'll look at the case for proprietary AI, followed by the powerful open source counterpunch. We'll even pull a crucial lesson from tech history, see how it applies to today's layered ecosystem, and finally, we'll uncover what it really takes to win, something called leverage.
Okay, let's dive into Section 1. Before we can figure out who's winning the fight, we need to get a really clear picture of who's in the ring.
So on one side, you've got proprietary AI. You can think of it like a fortress, right? The inner workings, the secret sauce, what we call the model weights, it's all locked up tight. You want access? You've got to pay for it. And one company calls all the shots. Then on the other side, you've got open source. That's more like a giant community garden. The blueprints, the model weights, they're public. Anyone can grab them, use them, build something new, and share it. It's a totally decentralized game. Controlled versus community.
Let's start with the argument for the big guys, the proprietary players. Their edge? Well, it really boils down to just one word: concentration. They can concentrate resources in a way that is incredibly hard for anyone else to replicate.
I mean, just stop and think about what it actually takes to build a truly top-tier AI model. You need a staggering amount of compute power. We're talking thousands upon thousands of GPUs. You need a boatload of capital to attract the absolute best engineers in the world. And you need the right partnerships to make it all work. This kind of resource concentration gives these big, centralized organizations a massive, massive advantage.
So the bottom line here is this. When you're talking about creating the most powerful AI at the absolute cutting edge, what we call frontier research, the insane cost of compute and talent gives proprietary companies a clear structural advantage. But that is not the whole story.
And that brings us to the open source counterpunch. It operates on a completely different and, frankly, a devastatingly effective economic principle: zero marginal cost.
See, open source isn't trying to go head-to-head on that super expensive frontier. Instead, it thrives literally everywhere else. It wins when a model just needs to be good enough for a specific job. It wins when businesses are looking at the high cost of proprietary APIs and thinking twice. And it really wins when developers want the freedom to just tinker, to fine-tune, and to innovate at a speed that a big, centralized company just can't keep up with.
And this leads to the single most important economic effect of open source. It just crushes pricing power. By offering a free, really capable alternative, it puts immense pressure on proprietary companies to lower their prices. Why would you pay a huge premium for an API if a free model does the job just fine? Open source is this constant deflationary force on the market.
So what we have are two incredibly powerful forces pushing in opposite directions. And to understand how this might all play out, we don't actually have to guess. We can look back at a very similar battle from tech history that gives us a fantastic roadmap.
Just look at the history of operating systems. We didn't end up with one single winner, did we? Nope. Instead, different models won in different layers of the market. Open source Linux completely took over the server and infrastructure layer. It's basically the backbone of the internet. But for the average person's computer, proprietary systems like Windows and Mac OS won the desktop. The winner depended entirely on which layer of the stack you were looking at.
And that right there, that brings us to the core idea of this whole explanator. Asking who wins is the wrong question. It assumes there's only one prize. The market isn't a single battlefield. It's a layered ecosystem, just like operating systems were. So a very likely outcome looks something like this. Open source models come to dominate the base layer, providing that good enough intelligence that powers countless apps. And at the same time, proprietary companies win at the two extremes, at the absolute frontier, pushing the boundaries of research, and at the specialized application layer, selling perfectly integrated solutions to big companies. It's not one winner, it's layered dominance.
So if the model itself, open or closed, isn't the thing that ultimately decides who wins, then what is? This is where we get to the real strategy. The winners are going to be the ones who understand and control the true sources of power in this new ecosystem.
You see, the real battle isn't open versus closed. It's a battle for control points. Who controls the compute? Who owns unique data that nobody else can get? Who is so deeply embedded in a customer's workflow that it's impossible to switch away? And who owns the distribution channel to the end user? The answers to these questions are what define real, lasting power in this market. For anyone out there who's building or investing in AI, this is the key takeaway. Having a slightly better model is a fragile advantage. It's like a house of cards. Someone is always going to be chasing you. A durable, defensible moat comes from controlling a key part of the ecosystem: the data, the workflow, or the distribution. That's how you build something that actually lasts.
Ultimately, the winner in the age of AI won't be defined by whether their model is open or closed. The winner will be defined by leverage. And what is leverage? It's that intersection, that sweet spot where massive compute power, exclusive data, and huge distribution scale all come together. That is the throne of the new intelligence economy.
So now that we have this new framework of ecosystems and leverage, our next explainer is going to tackle a pretty harsh reality: why most AI startups, despite all the hype, are actually built to fail. And based on what we've just covered, the reasons are going to be painfully clear.